Tonight, the search continues for those responsible for hurling a Molotov cocktail at a Whyalla home. And Labor calls for an early return to Parliament to deal with an ICAC inquiry.
From our 7 Spencer Golf Studios, your nightly news with Louise Hubar begins now.
Good evening. A Whyalla resident has had a lucky escape after 2 Molotov cocktails were thrown onto his property on the weekend. Those responsible remain on the run, with police calling for information. Sophia Contagonis has the story.
It was 2 loud bangs outside a home here on Field Street in the early hours of Saturday morning, which alerted the homeowners to what was going on.
The resident went out and found a small fire in his driveway, which he quickly extinguished.
Police responding to the incident, which took place around 4:45. They're now on the hunt for those responsible, while still investigating the circumstances around the attack.
Officers determined that 2 Molotov cocktails were thrown at the property.
The resident was quick to stop the small fire in the driveway by putting it out with a fire extinguisher. His quick thinking saved his home and neighbouring properties from the fire spreading and causing a disaster.
Certainly under the circumstances, the homeowner was lucky that further damage wasn't caused, and certainly this could have been much worse than it ended up being.
Authorities say this sort of attack is completely unacceptable and extremely dangerous.
Police are investigating the situation. Obviously, we're looking into the circumstances, which includes whether or not that particular house was targeted.
Police ask anyone who saw or heard any suspicious activity in this street or who has any information that may assist with this investigation to contact Crime Stoppers.
Investigations are continuing tonight into a fire which tore through a Broken Hill home on the weekend. Authorities still haven't ruled out there being any suspicious circumstances and are calling for information.
A home in flames. This is the scene facing fire crews after they were called to a McGowan Street property on Saturday evening, quickly getting to work to douse the flames, rapidly destroying a family home. The fire is believed to have started by someone burning rubbish in the backyard.
It appears that someone has set fire to some pallets that were at the back of the premises at this stage.
Firefighters entered the home attempting to contain the fire and prevent it spreading inside and to neighbouring properties. Neighbours watching on with more crews being called in. It took firefighters about 30 minutes to extinguish the flames. Thankfully, no one was in the home when it broke out. The following morning, the extent of the damage was clearer, with the roof of the living room completely destroyed. Police establishing a crime scene, not ruling it out as suspicious.
It's being investigated. Anyone that knows anything about it or might have seen something, dash cam for people that are in the neighbourhood at the time, if you can contact us here at the station on Crime Stoppers.
No neighbouring homes were damaged by the fire. Patrick Reinke, 7 Spencer Golf News.
South Australia's Labor Party has called on the state government to return to Parliament as soon as this week to deal with the stalled investigation into the MP's travel allowance scandal. But the government has refused, saying Parliament will return next month as scheduled. Nathan Rector has the story.
It's the ongoing scandal causing headaches for the Marshall Liberal government, with Labor not backing down. Opposition leader Peter Malinauskas calling for South Australia's Parliament to return this week so ICAC investigations can continue.
People should be cooperating with the ICAC inquiry. Voters, constituents need to have confidence in politicians, and the politicians need to do the right thing.
But the state government has refused to bring back Parliament early, saying in a statement it will return on the 8th of September as planned. But Labor isn't budging, saying that's not good enough.
So now we have to wait, there's a delay, and I believe that's unacceptable.
It was revealed on Friday by the Anti-Corruption Commissioner Bruce Lander that the investigation into the use of the country member's accommodation allowance had been stalled. He's accused a handful of MPs for not cooperating, with some citing parliamentary privilege in refusing to hand over information. The investigation was originally launched after more than $80,000 taxpayer dollars had been incorrectly claimed, with 5 Liberal MPs caught up in the scandal. A decision on whether the information remains private will be made when Parliament returns next month.
Still to come tonight, voluntary euthanasia advocates call for South Australia to follow the lead of other states. And CFS training gets underway in preparation for bushfire season. Hello again. Voluntary euthanasia advocates are ramping up their fight for assisted dying to be legalised in South Australia. They're calling for residents to write a letter to their local members to put pressure on state parliament.
These cousins have witnessed the horrific trauma experienced by their beloved fathers who have now passed away.
Painful, long drawn out.
They're fiercely advocating for voluntary euthanasia to be legalised, saying South Australia is lagging behind other states.
Hugely disappointed. South Australia has been fighting for this since 1995. We've tried 15 times and each time it has been knocked back in Parliament.
Robert Dusty Miller, known as a local legend, was planning to retire in Wallaroo, but he became bedridden after developing bladder cancer, repeatedly begging for assistance to take his own life.
Yes, he not only communicated it to me, I actually watched him ask 3 separate nurses on 3 separate occasions for assistance to end his life, and he was always told, "We can't kill you."
His brother-in-law Grant Schultz also losing his painful battle with cancer. One of his last outings was to Fowlers Bay, now a treasured family memory. His daughter Rebecca saying it's not just family members affected by terminal illnesses, but it can also be the people supporting them too.
Our family doctor informed us that my dad's cancer and death was so traumatic that the palliative care nurses received counselling.
Beck and Angie now using Facebook communities to offer support for others going through similar experiences.
It's not worth seeing someone die through such a prolonged traumatic death.
The complex debate over euthanasia laws continue in South Australia, with the End of Life Choice Committee due to release a report soon.
Majority of people do support voluntary assisted dying. I want them to write to their MPs and express their support.
And if you or anyone you know needs help or this story has caused distress, then you can contact Lifeline on 13 11 14. Shari Hams, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Broken Hill Police are hunting for a driver who performed burnouts in the city's north on Saturday. Officers say the person was driving a white car when the incident occurred in the late afternoon. Anybody who saw the vehicle or who has CCTV or dashcam footage of the incident is urged to contact their local station. The Country Fire Service has kicked off a week-long aviation course training up the next generation of air attack supervisors. It comes with bushfire season fast approaching, all hands on deck in preparation.
Important training for eager air observer students. This is the start of a week-long intensive course to promote some students to be air attack supervisors.
And they'll be filled with water, and the air crew will be up in the air and guiding them into simulated bushfire scenarios, and they'll be assessed on the way that they guide those aircraft in and drop the water on the simulated fires.
Flying over Port Pirie and Talawi Gorge, students will be in the helicopter practicing guiding the air bombers' movements.
There's unrestricted airspace, so we don't have so much competition with commercial aircraft, and Talawi Gorge simulates quite well the conditions that air crew will have to battle across the whole state.
This role is one of the most important when coordinating the safe and efficient use of water bombers. Commanders say it's not an easy task, with 5 years' experience necessary before stepping into the role.
It's the very first course that we've developed in South Australia, so we're able to actually put more people through than just the one every year. So we hope to be able to roll this out in the future years and build our capability from there.
It's a long pathway to get to this spot, so the students like myself have been developed our skills over the years and we're refining it now.
Loading crews also travelling from Tumby Bay for some training.
And hone their skills in the refilling of aircraft, so it really is a multi-exercise for a lot of different parts of the agency.
Summer is fast approaching and crews are anticipating it to be a busy fire season.
Yeah, it's crucial. We need to do it at this time of the year so we can get prepared for summer and support our guys and girls on the ground.
Shari Hams, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Stay with us. Coming up after the break, Whaler Film Festival to kick off this Friday, showcasing the work of local creatives. and a comedy show to be held in Port Lincoln in a bid to support artists impacted by the pandemic. Welcome back. SA Pathology has paused delivering COVID results through SMS after one was sent to the wrong person. SA Health says the error may have been due to a transcription in a name or phone number, which caused the result to be sent incorrectly. The service technical provider Personify Care says it has reviewed the delivery method and is confident no data or privacy breach was made. The Whyalla Film Festival showcase, originally scheduled for March, is now set to go ahead this Friday night. Local participants are excited to see their short films published on the big screen after coronavirus put a halt to all their hard work.
Months of preparation finally coming together. The Whyalla Film Festival, one of many unearthed events forced to be cancelled or postponed due to COVID-19. It's now one of the lucky ones set to go ahead.
So the Whyalla Film Festival has been rescheduled for the 28th of August, which is this coming Friday. So we were initially supposed to do it in March for Unearthed Festival and had to postpone.
It's the third year Michael has organised this festival, travelling to Adelaide for specialised training.
She got into this film festival production from a program that we run at Country Arts and in conjunction with the Adelaide Film Festival called the Curate Your Own Film Festival.
35 participants were involved in this year's program, most of who spent hours filming and editing their short movies for the competition.
Some of them spent full days on their films, and so it's really great to be able to get them on screen finally.
Leading up to this event, Michael applied for a South Australian Film Cooperation grant. She used the funding to run 8 workshops, teaching locals all the tips and tricks to making a short film.
Some of them we did here at the Middleback Arts Centre with members of the public. We did some at D-Faces specifically for young people, and we also did a workshop for educators and parents so that they could lead their kids through the process of making a film.
And she did not limit herself to Whyalla, branching out to nearby towns too.
And we also went on a trip to Kimber and worked with Kimber Area School and made a couple of films with them over the course of a day.
Tickets are available online, with locals encouraged to come along and support their peers.
We'll be announcing the winner of the 60-second film competition in the first session, which is the youth and family session. The first screening is of the film entrance, and then we'll be counting down to the winner.
The film festival is set to run again later this year, changing from a one-day event to 4. Sophia Contagonis, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
It's certainly been a tough year for events and festivals across the region, with dozens being scrapped due to the pandemic. But one comedy show has got the green light to go ahead in Port Lincoln. The Trapped in Paradise show bringing together some of the best names in comedy for a much-needed laugh.
Now this is the funniest thing. Very funny. It's really funny. Really funny.
A comedy show set to have its audience in stitches.
Not far now. Come on, please.
Port Lincoln's lovable larrikin Tony Ford just one of 4 acts headlining at the Trapped in Paradise comedy show next month. The event being put together by organisers of Salt Festival, which had to be scrapped this year due to the pandemic.
It was pretty sad to have Salt Festival not go ahead this year, and obviously comedy is a big part of Salt Festival, so we wanted to make sure we could bring that to the community still in 2020.
The show set to feature British comedian Gordon Southern and Australian comedians John Bennett and Mark Ryan, as well as Port Lincoln chef Tony Ford.
Hopefully I can fit all my crayfish on here, but we'll see how we go. So a little bit of sauce, and we pop the cray on top, and a bit of cheese. We're just lucky enough to be entertaining people and hopefully bringing a few laughs back into the community. It's been a hell of a year.
Tony's no stranger to the limelight, often posting skits online, all with his signature spin, usually involving his fishnet stockings.
Hereby open this, the Pete the Greek Bridge, sticking up for the little bloke. I'm going to keep it nice and clean and neat and tidy, and looking forward to it.
With the pandemic continuing to cause chaos for the festival scene,
I know it's not much now, but
it's hoped this small event will help these comedians keep busy and help them stay afloat.
These comedians are trapped in SA. They can't go and do their normal shows they would elsewhere, so we're going to bring them to Paradise, Southern Air Peninsula, Boston Bay Wines, and put on a show.
Get your events organised, people, and line up. It's going to be a tremendous return.
Tickets are available on the Salt Festival website. Nathan Regter, 7 Spencer Golf News.
Stay with us. Coming up after the break, we'll take a look at the region's footy results and we'll have the weather with Britt Aylan. Welcome back. Time now to take a look at the region's local football results. Patrick Reinke has the weekend wrap-up featuring some of the closest games seen all season.
The recent round of Port Augusta footy saw one nail-biter and one thrashing. The game between Port and Central decided by less than a goal. Central came out of the blocks in the slowest fashion, failing to get on the scoreboard in the first quarter. The game was a scrappy affair, both sides tussling at ground level. Among Port's best were Graham Cook, Patrick Keane and Max Vumard. The Bulldogs heading into the major break, leading by 10. The Bloods pulled their way back into the game after dropping a couple of goals across the third, but the Dogs held their nerve, getting across the line by just 6 points. Moving over to Port Lincoln, and the top of the table clash between Wayback and Tasman was won by the Demons. 6 goals to Jonty Seal sees the side sit outright first on the ladder. In the other game, 4 goals from Luke Harder saw Marble Range secure their third win of the season over Lincoln South, the margin 16 points. In Whyalla, Rupina overcame a slow start to knock over Central by one straight kick. South had to work hard to sneak past Wiruna Bay 7-5 to 6-4. The last game saw North almost upset ladder leaders West, but the Magpies couldn't hang on to their lead and fell short by 8. Finally, finishing off in the northern areas, you couldn't get 2 completely different games. Nothing could split Boolaroo, Melrose, Wilmington and Broughton Mundura, 70 points apiece at the final siren. Broughton Mundura had 10 more scoring shots across the game, but didn't make the most of their chances. That's the first draw of the season. In the second fixture, Orroroo had 12 individual goal scorers in their 184-point annihilation of cellar dwellers Southern Flinders. Orroroo had the game all sealed up by half-time, leading by 15 goals. That does it for another round of local footy. We'll be back tomorrow night with all the other sports from around the regions.
Now for a look at your weather for the rest of the week, here's Britt Aylan.
Thanks Louise and good evening. It's been a fine and partly cloudy start to the week, with Port Augusta recording a top of 18 degrees today. It reached 17 at Woodner, and at the other end of the scale we saw a high of just 11 degrees at Clare. Taking a look at the map, 15 degrees was the high for Port Pirie, Kadina and Cleve today. It reached 14 at Whyalla, Broken Hill and Coffin Bay. Port Lincoln had a top of 13 degrees and Adelaide reached 12 degrees this afternoon. Today's satellite images show cloud over the Spencer Gulf region with a cold air mass and brisk southerly winds. Bright jet stream cloud to our west did not bring any rain, and skies remained clearer in the north under a high pressure system. Moving on now to tomorrow, we'll start with the Gulf waters, variable winds reaching up to 10 knots and seas below 1 metre, with south to southwesterly swells at around 1 metre in southern waters. It's looking to be mostly sunny at Port Lincoln tomorrow with an expected top of 15 degrees. Cleve mostly sunny and 17. Woodner mostly sunny with a top of 21. Mostly sunny at Whyalla tomorrow, a high of 17. 20 the top for Port Augusta, looking mostly sunny there too. A cold morning ahead for Kadina, but warming up to a mostly sunny 17 degrees. Light morning frost at Port Pirie, then mostly sunny and 18. Clare partly cloudy with a top of 15. Broken Hill also 15 with sunny conditions expected tomorrow. Let's take a quick look ahead through the week. Fine and partly cloudy across the Spencer Gulf on Wednesday. Woodner with a top of 24, Port Augusta 22, Whyalla 21, Port Pirie 20, Port Lincoln and Kadina both 19 degrees, sunny at Broken Hill with a high of 17. Thursday, sunny across the region with a little bit of cloud about the lower Eyre Peninsula. Port Augusta and Woodner both with tops of 24 degrees, Whyalla 22, Port Pirie 21, Broken Hill a top of 20 degrees, Port Lincoln and Kadina both 19. And Friday is also looking mostly sunny with a top of 26 degrees for Woodner. Port Augusta 25, Whyalla 23, Broken Hill and Port Pirie both 22, Port Lincoln with a high of 21 degrees, Kadina 20. And Louise, before I go, there is a frost warning in place for parts of the mid-north tomorrow, so for those of you who live in that region, please do take care.
Lovely, thanks for that, Britt. And that wraps up your local news for this Monday evening. Thank you, as always, for joining us. We'll have updates later, but if we don't see you, have a lovely and safe evening. Good night. Australia.